grounds. Where did you start from? How did you get into marketing?
No one was coming to the website, no money made, nothing, was frustrated. I had no choice but to learn it on my own.
How do you think we should differentiate? What do you suggest as few actionable steps?
One is focus on a vertical. You got to do amazing work and showcase it, like case studies.
Like, what was your differentiator?
It's a team. So you're saying, how can someone else replicate building an amazing team? It's simple. Go to LinkedIn.
I mean, what's your view on AI? Are you bullish on it? Are you bearish on it?
Oh, I'm really bullish on it.
Do you have any take on that?
People spend a lot of money on services.
Any last word before we conclude the whole session?
But your journey is going to be different than ours, and learn from your mistakes.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody who's actually listening to this podcast right now? First of all, guys, welcome to the Nikhil Sai Show, which is hosted by me, the Nikhil Sai. And guess what's going on today? I'm back with another amazing guest. And this guest is a phenomenal guest because I am a fanboy of this guy. You know, back in 2018, before I ever thought about building a $1 million marketing agency or anything like that, I used to binge watch his content, learning about marketing and whatnot. And he was one of the very few people who actually opened, the secret sauce and really told how simple it is to market yourself online and how easy it is to rank your websites and whatnot. And it was always fun. And the guy who's actually jumping on is in the digital marketing space for over 2 decades. And he actually co-founded a company called NP Digital in 20. And he is known as one of the most influential marketers, according to the Wall Street Journal and Forbes. And the guy who's actually jumping on is none other than the co-founder of NP Digital, Neil Patel himself. Hey, Neil.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Neil, it's such an honor to have you on, brother. And it's so exciting. And I think this is going to be a very well worth story to share. Before we get into the juicy stuff on AI, marketing, and SEO, and all of that marketing stuff, let's dig back to understand who you are as a person. Please take us to the grounds. Where did you start from? How did you get into marketing? Before Neil Patel, or who you are right now, what was your backstory?
So when I was 16, I was trying to find a job online. I couldn't find a good paying job, but I was searching a lot of these job websites and I saw that they were making good money. So I couldn't find a job. So I decided to create a job board. You know, not the best idea, but that's what I ended up doing. Paid a few developers, helped me out, few $1,000, site was up. And then boom, no one was coming to the website, no money made, nothing. And then I quickly learned I have to do something called marketing. So I paid a marketing firm with whatever money I had left. Got little to no results, got burned, had no more money, was frustrated. I had no choice but to learn it on my own. I learned it, got a lot of traffic to my website. Still didn't make any money from the job board, but at that point I was like, I'm not bad at this marketing thing and I like this. So then I shifted focus onto the marketing, but that's how I got started.
Wow, that's fascinating. Starting like that to now actually having tens of millions of visits to your blog post. I mean, isn't that crazy? So that's amazing, Neil. I mean, it's very phenomenal to see what you have done, especially with NP Digital in such a short period of time, to going from like, hey, we have this new company, to actually having enterprise level clients, Fortune 500 companies working with you. And now we see a rise of digital marketing companies trying to build their own self in the market space. So if you could give a few suggestions to digital marketing agency owners like me, who are trying to build their portfolio, trying to attract bigger and bigger clients and better clients, how do you think we should differentiate? What do you suggest as few actionable steps for us to, market ourselves better and position ourselves better?
One is focus on a vertical. So don't try to do marketing for every industry. You can focus on e-commerce or B2B or SaaS or whatever it may be. Focus on a vertical. The second thing is you got to do amazing work and showcase it, like case studies. The third thing is you got to do marketing for your ad agency. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about blog posts or tweets. Where are your ideal customers? Are they at a SaaS conference because you're focusing on the SaaS? Okay, go talk about SaaS marketing there. Where are the CMOs reading? Okay, go and, get press there or talk there or build relationships. The point I'm getting at is you can do the basics, but if you aren't where your ideal customer is, like the decision makers, you're not going to get revenue. And a lot of that's not going to be from Twitter or writing a blog post. And the last thing I would really tell you is you'll generate a lot of business by hiring the right account managers. So a lot of companies follow account managers when they leave from one agency to another. So try to hire account managers who are really good and have amazing relationships.
Quite interesting. I mean, Neil, agency business is great. I mean, we have seen companies like Accenture and, PwC, they're crushing it, doing billions. And, you are actually crushing it, in your own way. Coming back at a smaller scale, people who are doing maybe $10, $20, $50,000, it's kind of tricky, you charge somebody, you hire top talent. Now you're you're left with zero margins. You don't hire great talent, your clients fire you because you're not delivering great results. Now, like, what was your differentiator? How did you go from like, hey, I'm good at marketing, to building like a legit marketing company which is providing valid services to great companies and, kind of getting amazing business out of it? So what was your way of doing that? How do you suggest other people to go about that?
It's a team. Doesn't matter how good of a marketer you are, people hire a team, and it's the team that produces the results. Your key is you need to focus on hiring really, really good people who are really good at one specific thing in marketing. It could be account management, it could be SEO, it could be paid advertising, it could be conversion optimization. You got to build a really good team, and you need to not just look at marketing and producing results as things like SEO and pay-per-click and conversion and email marketing, but also the communication side, account managers, project managers. If you don't have a full team on all aspects, you're just not going to do well with a lot of the accounts out there.
Yeah, that is so true. If you could take us a few steps back, 6 years ago when you were building the nucleus of NP Digital, the core team, what were the things you were actually doing to attract the best talent? Is it different equity structures you're giving away, or great incentives, or the vision? And how do you think a small business owner, a digital marketing agency owner can replicate, the way you have built an amazing team you did for NP Digital?
So you're saying, how can someone else replicate building an amazing team? It's simple. Go to LinkedIn, see who works for your competition, who's continually gotten promotions, because if they got promotions, the company feels are valuable. People will stay there for a while. Those are the people that you should be trying to interview and poach.
Wow. Simple as that. Interesting. Okay. And now, Neil, most agency owners, including myself, we are visionaries. We are like the entrepreneurial creatures coming up with crazy ideas. I mean, you're similar, if I'm not mistaken. And we're not that operational. We don't like account management, client management, the fulfillment stuff most of the times. And that's what most people get stuck in. They sell services, they no longer sell because they're in fulfillment.
That's not a problem. A, you need to do it whether you like it, because if you don't do it, you won't learn what issues there are. And B, hire people who are great at that stuff. That's easy to solve for. You just hire people to fill in the gaps.
Quite interesting. So, I mean, it really comes down to finding those people, which is something you already answered about, just finding the competition and doing about that. How do you operationalize marketing success? Because marketing is constantly evolving, and what worked 6 months ago, the same campaigns aren't performing the same results. So how do you keep up with optimization? Is it, again, coming back to the team, which I believe is a big part, but how do you playbookize? Because too much customization costs much in terms of fulfillment. But if you playbookize completely, your client results might not be the same. So how can somebody do that?
We don't, it can vary for any agency, but we don't leverage a playbook. We do everything custom. And yes, it costs more money, but it's the reality of it, because doing it custom for that company, we find it produces better results. But yes, it costs more money.
So you're,
but it's different, like for what you're doing, right? You're building funnels. You can start systemizing the funnels depending on the industry. Right? Because I'm assuming you build funnels for companies, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We have playbooks for one niche, and we kind of playbookize that to similar companies, and we try to turn that around and in a shorter span deliver same results. And it kind of works sometimes, but we still got to have that top of the mind optimization done every quarter to make sure that the funnel is performing for this quarter instead of what worked for 18 months ago.
Yep. But once you start going upstream to enterprise, there's a lot less playbooks, because they want to have certain issues and they have problems that they need solved, and you're going to have to end up doing something unique for it. But if you're just focusing on funnels and you're working with SMBs, and you don't have to do everything custom, and there's no right or wrong approach. You just got to figure out what's right for your business and your client types.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, this is two different ball games here, Neil. And this is what I'm so much curious and passionate about. When you started NP Digital, were you like very clear that you're going to serve enterprise and that's what you hired and built for? Or did you also work with some smaller level companies and realize that there wasn't so much juice or scalability in there? Or what was the journey like, if you could take us 6 years behind the scenes?
We wanted enterprise accounts. We weren't getting them from day one because it takes time to get them. But with the SMB, there was higher churn. Actually, we're doing pretty good on the margins with SMB. Enterprise, we've actually done worse on the margins, but less churn, more reliability. And we knew we wanted to be an enterprise company. For us, it wasn't about the margins or profitability. It was about what we enjoy. And we do like working with SMBs, but we really wanted the big ad accounts where they have the budgets to do a lot of cool stuff. And it takes a long time to transition and get those kind of customers and go upstream. Even if you look today, we don't have the big enterprise accounts like WPP or Dentsu or Omnicom have. Like, we're not getting these contracts where someone spends $100-200 million a year just in fees. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get those accounts. We're not big enough.
Oh, wow. It's insane the amount of scale and what's happening in the industry, Neil. But if you actually can help us understand the difference in sales process and how did you acquire your first few clients, help us understand because I know you're big in content and SEO, of course. That's how
Yep.
you actually build the audience. But I think it doesn't contribute directly to enterprise client acquisition. I know it could get you leads, but help me
Correct.
understand the dynamic.
So for SMB, it was simple. You do stuff on social, blog posts, you get leads from inbound or paid ads, and you try to call them up and close them, and you do your pitch. Enterprise is very different. Typically, people come to you with problems and it's solution selling, and everything is very custom. And it's not really a sales rep selling them, it's the people actually doing the work who would be selling them. And they got to convince them on why they're the right team and people and we're the right company. What you find is it just takes a long time to get these leads. You get them through like those search agencies, or you get them through the analysts like Forrester, you get them through awards, you get them through press like on the Ad Age and the Ad Week. It just takes a long time to be included in these enterprise pitches. You're not going to get them from people reading a Google article that they found on Google and be like, I'm going to hire this guy for $1 million a year. Like, it doesn't really happen that often.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating and frustrating both ways for especially a small business owner who's trying to get into the space. Interesting. Now, coming back, Neil, I mean, what's your view on AI? Are you bullish on it? Are you bearish on it? I mean, I'm sure that it's going to stay.
I'm really bullish on it, but I think there's a big issue in which people overestimate what it can do for them today, and they probably underestimate what it can do for them 5 years from now. So AI is great. I think it'll continually improve, but it's not a magic pill that solves all problems, at least today. 5 years from now, who knows what will happen, but today in marketing, you can't just use it and it does everything correctly.
Quite interesting. I mean, especially with AI evolving so much and increasing the capability for the end business owner to do so much stuff. There's a regular, hey, I will build websites for you kind of pitches which worked in 20 are no longer relevant because anybody can come up with their own website in a few minutes from now using AI. Now, for somebody who is getting started in the space and maybe had the first $1 million in sales for their agency clocking down, what do you think they could do something actionable which could allow them to differentiate in the market? And what do you see are the emerging services which can have higher demand, especially for the SMB segment?
Well, the big thing for SMB is you got to figure out how to offer all the services they need. See, in enterprise, it's very rare that someone pays you for web development, SEO, pay-per-click, email marketing, conversion. It's rare that you get all service items. SMB, it's a one-stop shop. They love to just pay one company that can do everything. In enterprise, they're de-risking to make sure they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. So in SMB, once you got your vertical or the types of clients you're trying to target, figure out all the problems they face and try to help them solve it within the marketing vertical.
Interesting. Okay. So it's going to be focused on how you can bundle and productize to deliver. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Neil, you've been big on SEO from long term and I still think you are. But the dynamic on how people used to consume web through Google search, now with AGI popping up and ChatGPT kind of portals opening up and Grok recently launched, the way we search changed a lot. And how do you see that shift happening with AI in terms of SEO, and what do you project for the next 5 years, the shifts which will take in the SEO space?
Sure. So AI is going to change. What we're seeing on SEO right now is a lot more people are typing in longer tail search queries like sentences and expecting results. I don't see AI is going to disrupt it, just like a lot of the other changes that Google did in the past, like showcasing the weather without you going to an actual website to find the weather. And Google answering more questions, but zero clicks have been increasing over time anyways. And I think there's going to be a purpose for Bard and ChatGPT and Grok and all the other ones out there. But at the same time, there's also going to be a purpose for doing a search on traditional Google, like buying a blouse or a skirt or a pant or socks. A lot of times it's just easier to buy stuff doing a Google search than it is from AI. And if people disagree, I challenge them, try buying something through AI. It's actually a lot of work. I'm not saying they can't improve it over time, but I think there's going to be a purpose for both, and I don't see one really replacing the other. I think there's use cases for both and they'll both exist. Maybe some things you use, AI instead of search for, and some things you search for instead of AI and vice versa, but there'll be a need for both. And I don't think that people should worry about what's going to happen. They should just embrace all technologies and be there and be ready to adapt as technology evolves.
Interesting, Neil. That's a great answer. Now, in terms of service agencies, as we discussed earlier, services are getting harder and harder to sell, and people are trying to come up with SaaS and service models or a hybrid and combination of them. Do you have any
It's not
take on that?
necessarily getting harder to sell. Look at Accenture and PwC and Deloitte. They still sell it a lot. I think that's a big misconception in which, services are hard to sell. People spend a lot of money on services. It's not a shrinking industry.
Interesting. I mean, if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, the small businesses who are buying the day-to-day Facebook ads, hey, can you do my email marketing kind of stuff? Now they're capable of doing it themselves because of the tool stack which is available, which was not available 3, 5, 10 years ago. The CRMs are
No,
getting easier and easier.
no, they've always been able to do it from themselves from day one, and no joke. We still get more companies paying us to manage the Facebook ads than we did before. Just because there's the tools doesn't mean that the companies are getting the results. What they're paying you for is not to run the ads. They're paying you to produce results. That's the difference. You're not getting paid to run ads. You're getting paid to produce an ROI, and an ROI that's better than what they can produce.
And ROI does come when you have the most brilliant team, which comes back to having the best team possible.
It comes a lot from having a brilliant team, but a lot of it is also timing and luck.
Timing and elaborate on that, because I see marketing campaigns
in
being
a good
launched.
economy, people buy more. In a bad economy, they buy less. Higher interest rates, people buy less. In a lower interest rate, people buy more. If you were the first to market a product because you found it before anyone else in this country, but it's popular in Asia and it's not popular in the United States because no one knows about it, a little bit of that is like luck, right? So it's not just the best team. There's other factors you can't control.
Oh, wow. I mean, we're talking about super scale. So, the entire dynamic is actually changing. That's interesting, Neil. Now, let's talk about, the operational efficiency. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've done a lot of research on you and I've been following you from a long time. You're more of a visionary entrepreneur, and you kind of bring the best people in and put it together in the right places so that they could actually handle. So what are your, I would say, check boxes while you're actually hiring? What are the competencies you actually look for, especially when you're hiring for leadership roles? And who do you actually pick, or how do you actually pick? What is your process behind the scenes? I understand the resume building process, like, okay, you find your competitors and the best team they have for the job role you're looking for. But how do you differentiate the human being, the person himself? How does your hiring process looks like if you're doing that?
Yeah, so I haven't been involved in the hiring process too much, but typically hiring process, we look for cultural fit, we look for similar values, we look for people who have done it before in our industry successfully. We look for player coaches, people who can manage, but also who are willing to get their hands dirty. And we look for people who don't mind challenging the status quo.
That's quite interesting. I mean, it comes down to the core values you actually have built for NP Digital. That's quite interesting. Now, if you could help me understand the trajectory you're trying to build for NP Digital, like where do you see this going on, and what are you doing on a daily basis to build for the future for NP Digital? Walk us through your day-to-day right now.
Yeah, so when it comes to building for the future, we're spending majority of our time on, of course, maintaining the business, but A, expanding internationally, and B, buying up companies. Like we closed one company a week ago. We'll announce it 2 weeks ago. We'll announce it in January, sometime after the holidays. We're working on buying another one right now. Hopefully next year we close 3 or 4 deals. But yeah, no, it's we're continually looking to just improve and do a lot of good things. Just takes time.
That's exciting. So you're buying other agencies or like service providers itself. Is that like what you mean by acquisitions? Or I know you are high into softwares as well. I mean, I watched your My First Million podcast and it was kind of eye-opening the way you think about cash flow and creating profitable businesses and turning them around, making few tweaks and keeping them high value and high EBITDA. Can you walk us through your process on how you pick the right businesses and what kind of formula or what are the check boxes you need to be like, okay, 6 check boxes, right, Mark? I want to go into this deal kind of situation. How do you differentiate that?
Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. Where there's just like 6 checks. I wish it was that easy. It gets really complicated depending on what you're looking to buy. But typically, are you looking to buy something to expand? Are you looking for something to infill, something that you don't offer? Are you looking to buy something to become the leader within that category? There's many different reasons to buy. We typically buy to fill in the gaps. So what's something that we don't have that our customers want that we can go and acquire. And that's typically what we look for. But there's a lot of things you have to look for: good growth, good revenue, low churn, amazing leadership, similar cultural values, age of history. How are they getting their leads? Are the team willing to stay on? There's just so many things that you have to keep in mind when you try to buy a business. It takes us like 6 months typically to close a transaction.
Oh, wow.
4 on the quick end, on the long end, somewhere around there.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So you're literally just merging agencies together to kind of expand the scope of NP. How big of a team you have right now, Neil? I know it was roughly 800 when I last checked. How big is the team
It's
right now?
similar. It's same.
Similar? Okay, that's pretty cool. In terms of personal brand, does it really contribute to any success of NP Digital, like in 2020 moving forward right now?
It helps a little bit, but it's a fraction of our revenue. Personal brand doesn't make up more than like maybe $8 to $10 million a year in revenue, somewhere around there.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Now, for a small business who might be wanting to be building what you are, do you recommend them focus on personal brand, or do you recommend them to build the best team, get the best case studies, and go that route instead of building personal brand first?
You can do either one. There is no right or wrong answer. It's ideally, eventually you want to build both a personal brand and a corporate brand, but there's no right or wrong answer.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Now, coming back, one of the toughest things a small business do struggle is trying to get clear on the vision and have all the people they're working with closely to believe in that vision. And of course, you had a great track record which helped you to acquire the best people, and capital was one of those things which can help you overall. But how do you look at leadership, and what are few leadership lessons you learned the hard way while you're building the best teams possible in the marketing space?
I'm a bad person to ask that question to. I'm not a leader. I tend not to run a company. I'm not the CEO.
Interesting.
I'm a terrible leader, terrible manager. I'm a good operator, but I focus on what my strengths are. I usually don't pitch vision to people or anything like that.
How do you pull that off, Neil? How can you be running NP Digital, or owning NP Digital, I would say, and building great stuff, having time for yourself and travel, speak at events, and still, where do you see your advantage there? And how do you look at yourself and be like, okay, this is why I am different, and this is how I actually came here? And where do you see that actually coming to?
Yeah, the problem with me answering that question is it's not replicatable for most people, right? So I focus a lot on marketing because I enjoy it. I also focus a lot on client work because I enjoy it. But you got to focus on your own strengths. And what I did, most people can't replicate. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I kind of started with money. Unless you raise money or you have it from some other past success, I'm able to do what I did because I put in around $5 million into the business. So it's like, unless you have the capital to hire a lot of these people and do it from day one, you got to slowly transition, and it just takes a long time, and you just got to be patient. Keep in mind, I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years now. So, someone shouldn't look at what I'm doing and just be like, oh, I'm going to do the same way that he did. It won't necessarily work. And then there's also other people who are way more successful than me, and they can do it in a much better way than I can, right? So, there's no right or wrong answer. What works for me will not work for you, and what worked for you probably wouldn't work for me. And again, it doesn't mean I'm better than you or you're better than me. It's just there's many different approaches, and people have to figure out their own journey.
Interesting. Okay.
I
That's
get what
quite
you're trying to
insightful.
do. You're trying to dissect it to say, hey, if you want to start an agency and make money, just go follow this playbook. It doesn't work that way. That's the sad reality. But I know what you're trying to get at. Like, hey, do this step 1, step 2, step 3. It just doesn't work that way.
Interesting. Yeah, my goal on this podcast is typically to educate myself and the audience on few actionable things we could do after the podcast to get the best results for ourselves and everybody who's actually listening to this overall. So I think that definitely answers a bit of it, which is figure it out on yourself and do the best
Yeah,
execution.
and I'm not trying to be rude when I say like figure it out, but like it's not. See, if you created a funnel business, okay, you
Mhm.
help companies do funnel marketing. How long have you been doing it for?
I've been doing it since pandemic, so 20 August officially.
Okay, if someone wanted to start a funnel business today, would it be as easy for them to create what you
No.
created?
No,
You were
of course it was
earlier
timing.
on. Yes,
Yeah.
you were earlier on when funnels were more new and people were trying to figure it out, and COVID, everything was switching online. All I'm getting at is they can't just say, hey, here are the steps you took that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and go replicate it. It's just not going to work. There's a lot of variables that change because of market conditions. There's more competition now. You started earlier. You have a track record. A lot of new people coming in don't have a track record. You're also based in India. You can probably do things cheaper than a lot of people in the US are charging. And you've been doing it longer and have a track record, and you have a plaque for, getting 7 figures behind you. But all I'm getting at is It's not as simple as just 1 through 10, even if it's the same exact agency that's doing the same exact work that you are.
Agreed, Neil. I think, yeah, that's eye-opening overall. And I genuinely believe that's so true. And what it really comes down to is, are you willing to put in the work in the current environment to, shortcut your way out the right way overall? Now, interestingly, if you could
It's
actually,
not shortcut your way. It's, are you willing to put in the work to figure it out? And are you willing to be consistent at it, do a great job, learn from your mistakes and adapt? There's just so many things, but there's no shortcuts. It is, are you willing to grind it out for a really long time until you see the result? And then you got to keep going. And are you willing to work on Christmas when everyone else isn't working? Are you willing to
Mm,
work when you have a fever of 100 degrees? Because if you don't, your competition is going to gain more traction on you. It's doing the
mm,
things that most people don't want to do. It's not rocket science. It's just a lot of grinding and learning from your mistakes and being persistent and just continually doing it and not giving up.
oh, I did not expect that. I expect more of a, leverage answer. But it's interesting to see even nine-figure companies could be built with pure grind and grit. And you're an example for that.
Most companies are built with grinding grit. It's not just 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures, etc. They're all typically built from grinding it out. One can say, oh, this is private equity money. They're just going and buying them. You know how hard it is to buy companies and integrate them and create efficiencies?
Oh,
It's a lot of work.
sounds
It's
hectic.
all
Yeah.
grinding.
Oh, total Neil. I'm definitely with you in there. So yeah, definitely. That's quite interesting. I do have a few things. If you could walk us through your typical daily routine, how would that look like? When do you wake up? What do you do next? When do you sleep? All of that stuff.
Wake up typically around 5 o'clock, get ready, work out, get ready, pick up my kids from their bed, feed the younger one milk. Older one watches TV while I feed the younger one milk. I'm there with them during breakfast. I'm also doing, and then wife drops them to school, and then I spend time with them at nighttime for dinner, and I play with them a little bit before dinner, and before they go to sleep, I read to them. In between, during my workday, tons of phone calls, emails, meetings, and marketing, like creating content for social, recording videos, sometimes speaking at events. But that's really my day.
Wow. Sounds simple, but looks like you're very focused on what you're doing. That's really interesting to see. If you could go back, Neil, and give yourself a suggestion, the 20-year-old yourself, what would that be? Where would you save yourself?
Focus. I tried doing too many things at once. Focus, I think, is a really important quality that a lot of us take for granted.
Interesting. Did you learn it the hard way? Do you have any
Yeah.
story to share?
No, I just did too many businesses. I would have just made way more money if I focused earlier on in my life.
Interesting. So I think, yeah, the cost of attention is too much. I've done that mistake too. Let's talk about if you could go back in time and be like, oh, that is a mistake I could have avoided, which could actually add value for other people. If you could share some of those, that should be really helpful.
I don't really have too many because times change and market conditions change, which we talk about. The big thing that I made mistakes on was I kept making the same mistake over and over again. And that really slowed me down. What I wish I did was I make a mistake, write it down, learn from it, figure out what I would do next time different. So then when that situation comes up again, I don't repeat the mistake. That
Mm.
slowed me down a lot in my journey.
Interesting. That's quite interesting, Neil. And if you could look back at your achievements, what would be the biggest one you are like really be like, okay, that's something I've done really well. I know there's a lot of awards in there, but other than that,
Yeah, I don't have anything that I'm like really proud of being like, oh my God, I did this really
what
well.
motivates you, Neil? I'm curious. Like you wear the same T-shirt, you look the same from from the time I see you. I don't think you're a car guy. Maybe I might be wrong. But what motivates you? What keeps you driven every day? What excites you the most?
I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm passionate about it. I think if you're passionate about what you're doing, it'll give you the motivation. I think too many people do stuff for the money instead of doing what they love. I do it not
Mm.
for money. I do it because I love it. Whether I make double the money or half the money, I still love it. I would do it the next day. Nothing would change.
Interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. Passion comes from achieving a specific result. Is that same for you in this case? And if yes, what is that result which you are getting high on and interested in? Is it the result you're getting for your clients? Is it the team you're building? Is it the company and the vision for it? What exactly excites you? Because I'm trying to dissect how you think overall in here. So help me understand a little bit about you.
Yeah, I get I love getting results for customers. It gives me like a dopamine hit, when customers' traffic goes up, it gets me really excited. And I'm also super passionate about learning anything related to marketing because I love the sector and field. So I constantly read and learn more on a daily basis as well. But I'm also passionate about, helping other people grow in the marketing sector and learning more. And we have a good amount of people, so I'm able to do a lot of that. But yeah, no, those are some of the things that really drives my motivation.
Interesting. What do you mean by that overall when you said you're helping other people in the marketing space? Please expand a little bit on that.
Helping them learn just more about marketing and some of the new tactics and trading
Is it the
strategies.
team or businesses?
Both.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you have like anything where I could learn from you? Like, I have my credit card ready if you do.
No, we put stuff out on social media, like some of the data that we dissect and learn and trends that we see. We put a lot out there, but the blog, we don't really charge for any of that. You can just get it for free.
Interesting. I mean, what's your main inspiration for success and who are the key people involved in your journey, Neil?
I don't really have like a main inspiration for success or anything like that. I'm just trying to build a bigger marketing empire and I'm having fun doing it. And I'm not necessarily tracking anyone. Like there's a lot of cool entrepreneurs from like the Elon Musk to Mark Zuckerberg to Bill Gates to Jeff Bezos, etc. But it's tough to do what they do. I don't have the mental capacity to do anything near what a lot of those guys do, but I stick in my lane and do what I'm decent at and have fun doing it.
Quite interesting. And it's a tricky question, but how do you equip yourself with the most truthful marketing content like right now? How do you keep yourself informed?
We just look at a lot of stats and data. We let the data inform us on what to do.
Quite interesting. And are you a reader, Neil? Do you read books?
Not
what are
too
your
many
topics?
books,
Articles. Okay. But if you could recommend few books which you do recommend, which help you to build your own personality type, what would that book list be?
Art of the Start by Guy Kawasaki talks about a lot of things like luck, which we discuss here, Principles by Ray Dalio, The Dip by Seth Godin, Purple Cow as well. But yeah, check out those books. I think they'll really help you get started.
Interesting. And my personal question, do you believe in legacy and impact?
I believe in legacy and impact. I don't care for legacy. I don't
What
care
do you
what
mean
people
by
think
that?
about when I'm dead. I don't care when I'm dead what happens to my brand name or what anyone thinks. I'll live my life, enjoy it for what it is. Whether people like me or hate me, it is what it is. And my wife and I will choose to do whatever we want with our money when we're dead. We already give it away or a lot of it on an annual basis, and we'll keep doing so. And don't really care if we're dead. People are like, oh, look what Neil did or his wife did. We more so do what makes us happy and do what we think is right.
Interesting, Neil. That's pretty fun overall. And any last word before we conclude the whole session for today, Neil?
Learn from your mistakes. Don't worry about how I built my agency or you built your agency. It's going to be a different journey for everyone. Sure, learn, but your journey is going to be different than ours, and learn from your mistakes. And if you avoid making the same one over and over again, eventually you'll be led down the correct path.
Neil, that was one of a podcast, brother. Really great having you on. And guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast session for today with Neil Patel from NP Digital. And I'll be coming back with another amazing guest just like Neil. Thanks for tuning in for today. Bye-bye.